gentlemen, we're live. About to get a notice here that notification that we are live. There it is.
Yeah,
It's
this game, man. Took a couple
complete.
seconds, let everybody know.
Yeah.
But we are live. We are live. It's very good to be alive this morning.
It's only 9:20. We're only 20 minutes late, and this time it was my fault.
Forgivable fault. We understand.
Well,
We
there's
understand.
always car trouble. Luckily, my service guy is right up the street. So,
How is everyone doing this morning? This is
and
Indy Vote.
they're
Oh, go ahead.
what?
Are you
Indie
there?
Volt
Oh,
Radio.
Indy
Here,
Vote
here.
Radio. Thanks for listening to us. This is Indy Vote Live, the Breakfast Buzz. We are uh up this morning. That's what we
Pour,
are.
we're pouring coffee. That's what we're doing.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna talk about a couple things in indie comics this morning, and I want to, I don't like when news breaks right after we're off the air.
Breaking news.
Yeah, right after we're off the air. It really
It
sucks.
never,
Anyway,
it never really breaks, does it?
no. They keep it hush up to we're off the air so we can't talk about it. I see how
Yeah.
they do. We have to start doing like 4 hour live streams. That's what we'll do.
Right in the
Anyway,
middle of the week.
yeah.
Yes. YouTube will
uh,
love you for that.
oh yeah,
They love your 4 hour live streams.
yeah.
I hate to think what your algorithms look like.
Oh man, they're kind of weird. They're up and down.
You have yet
Uh,
to be demonetized, though.
haven't been demonetized. Haven't been
Ka-ching.
monetized.
Haven't been monetized, but you haven't been
Yeah,
demonetized either.
yeah.
There you go.
That's the beautiful thing about not being monetized on YouTube. It can't be demonetized.
Yep.
And what you gonna do, YouTube? What you gonna do? Um.
They'll pull that video if they can catch a copyright or a complaint. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
well,
They will.
especially anymore.
Yeah.
Big Brother is always watching, or at
Yeah.
least
They are.
Big Brother's computer.
Big Brother's crawl bots. Here we go. I'm gonna roll the intro, and we are going to
Roll it.
get into it. Are we ready?
Ro- It'll wake
We
us
are
all
ready.
up.
It's loud. It's loud.
It's loud.
Don't adjust your headsets, evil. I can't find the intro. Randy's been in here tinkering around. I'm just kidding. All right.
Where what? Did I
Now I
miss
was
it?
joking. Now I was just joking about. I said Randy's been in here moving stuff around. I'm just kidding. All right,
I
ready?
have not.
Here we go.
Did you find it now?
Yeah, oh
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah, I knew where it was at. Okay.
Oh, okay. It's a good thing we waited for Trico because we on fire.
Oh, how is everyone doing today? Uh, it's Thursday.
Trico and
Thursday,
Dave are here.
October 3rd.
Good
Trico and
morning.
Dave are in the chat.
Good
Hello,
morning,
sir.
everyone.
Oh, Trico, you're not late. We're late. Uh, so you're technically right on time. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, we're all late. I had a little problem with my car this morning. I had to get over to the service station. So, actually, the dealership. So,
mhm.
go
Um,
go talk to Ed. It's all good.
Dave, we brought you up in conversation on our Tuesday show. Uh, we want to know we want your opinion on how you're able to bring your family to Comic Cons and maintain composure and maintain the ability to sell and look professional. How are you able to do that? There are some people, and Dave is one of them, who does it very well. There are others who do not, and I've unfortunately witnessed a bunch of them who do not do that very well. And I've been table neighbors with some of them who do not do that very well. And
I think it's happened to all of us at one time or another.
yeah. I remember a fellow publisher of mine, he was sat next to a lady at a show who had her children with her. Her husband was also at the show, but he had a different booth a few aisles away. He was actually in a vendor booth um,
Double
versus her,
coverage.
yeah, versus her Artist Alley booth, and she had the kids with her, and she really, I think really what they did was they brought the books. They bring books to get attention and just to be able to get in to the show. And then I think I think they made the book so they could get a foothold and meet people in the industry so that they can acquire licenses. But that's another story for another time. The thing was, her children um, pretty much ran that table, and we're talking about 3 to 7 year olds. And she would leave and go sit with the husband for hours and leave the kids there. And so what my buddy was telling me was that customers would be standing at his table, looking at what he had to offer, and um, the kids would come over to the person that was talking about his book, tap the customer on the shoulder or the arm, and say, "Hey, what about my book? What about my art?" While they're engaged with him in a conversation about his stuff, and you can't, tell a kid, "Hey, cut it out." But the breaking point was when he was noticing a cut on his hand, and the little girl came right over to him and put her finger in the cut and said, "How'd you get that?" And he said,
Twink, twink, twink.
"Yeah." He said that was the breaking point right there. He couldn't take it.
It's called an infection, kid.
Yeah, it's like
Now lick your finger.
yeah, like I have a disease, little girl. Go get your mother. Go get your mother right away. Trico says, I used to bring Audrey, that's his daughter, with me to every con. I still do sometimes. I tried bringing Tracy once, but she doesn't read any of my work, so she's ill-equipped when someone asks a question about my books.
I have the same problem with my wife. She attended a con one time, was bored out of her mind, never did it again.
Mhm.
Not behind the table, at least.
Well, that's the thing with Lola. She runs the table. She knows about the books, but generally, I'm finding people. I was actually taken a bit aback at the show I just did in South Dakota because people were actually coming to me asking me about the book and pitching and having me pitch each book, which I know how to do. But
Mm-hmm.
so often now people kind of pick up a book because I leave a reader copy out for anybody to flip through,
Mm-hmm.
and will flip through it and they pick it up. No, people very rarely ask me about the plot, and I think that's because uh, my theory is that the comic stores have conditioned them not to do that.
Yeah.
Come in, flip through the book, see if you like it, buy it. So I was kind of shocked that people were coming asking me about the plot of these books. Day of the Supreme says, "Oh hell no, my no kids running my table." Uh, I I agree. They I think kids running tables are. I remember the first time I took my son to a show. It was he was old enough actually. He'd been to a bunch of shows before. He was talking and walking, but he must have been 4, and he had gotten used to when customers come to the table, me saying, "Hey, how you doing? How are you?" And he watched this, and he's sitting behind me on we had a little pad out. He's playing his Game Boy DS, and he jumps up when a customer comes up and says, "Hey, how are you? We're Last Call Comics." And I thought it was the cutest thing in the world. But it's like, shut up, kid! You ruined my pitch. Dave says a lot of customers. I have a lot of customers that want to have my wife and kids signatures on the comics. And that works for you too, Dave, because your book is about your family,
Right.
and we mentioned that on Tuesday's show. Your book is about your family, so a lot of people want it. It's almost a family production.
Yeah.
Now, when you put out a book with a half-naked barbarian killing dragons, don't know what you're gonna do. But no, I mean, I agree that sometimes people can work it in very well. Others though, not so much. Rand, did you ever take your family besides your wife? You ever try taking your daughter to a show? I mean, now she runs your shows. I help
Yeah.
run your
Yeah.
shows.
Now she runs the table, but never before. No.
Mhm.
No. Either of them. So it's been so long since I just had my daughter, my first daughter. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I never took her to a show
Mhm.
during that time when I was, divorced.
Mhm. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I would love to take my son to more shows. I mean, he just did a show. I like taking him to more shows, but
Well,
gosh, he
he's getting at that age, and got that ability. He can sit behind a table and draw his own stuff. So
yeah, now we can. Yeah,
now he
yeah.
can, yeah.
Yeah, a couple years ago, he wanted to get out there and walk around, and I used to bring him to. I brought
Especially
him.
now that he's made a little money.
Yeah,
So now he'll be at every show.
I brought him to your shows, and he's come to your shows before and helped me run the table. Yes, but um, he generally does not. Uh, like he wants to get out from behind the table all the time and go play and go see people, and it's very weird because
A lot to see, a lot to do.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I have had vendors come to the show and bring their kids and just let them run wild. That's been a problem.
hmm
So
yeah. You know, do you think they do that because you have a smaller show, Randy?
yeah, they're easier to keep an eye on.
I'll let them
Sure.
go with me, and I'll let them run wild because they wouldn't do that at a Motor City or a Wizard World Chicago. And they wouldn't.
No, and especially now, I don't encourage it at all, even at my show, because it's so easy to misplace kids, and there's so many nefarious people out there.
Uh,
I wouldn't want to. I would feel real bad if there was one running around at the show that suddenly disappeared.
mhm. Yeah, yeah,
I
because I
try to
mean,
discourage that as much as possible.
yeah. Um, so we had a bit of breaking. We don't have any questions this morning because I don't have any graphics ready.
No,
But
no questions.
yeah, no, we do have a few things they want to talk about that happened. Randy, catch our viewers up on we talked about the Kickstarter drama,
On Tuesday.
yeah, on Tuesday,
Yeah.
and there's been some new developments in that, right?
Well, it hasn't really been a development as far as Kickstarter and unionizing. We just had
Right.
another little bit of gatekeeping. Gatekeeping,
hmm
you would say, that somebody went public with. That's all.
hmm
So, do you want me to catch everybody up on that, or do you
Please
want
do.
to paraphrase it?
Please do.
Well, Mike S. Miller, who does Lone Star, was a comic skater. Now he calls himself a free thinker, and I had the finger quotes running there. Ran his rejection letter, coincidentally right after the problems with Kickstarter throwing off the union news broke. Kickstarter's crowdfunding campaign site. I'm sure everybody knows that, where a lot of creators, especially independent creators, put their books up for funding, so that they can put their book together and get it out to either them personally, the people who are funding the book, or get it together for the crowdfunding person and get it out to the retailer.
Right.
So there has been a problem with Kickstarter gatekeeping for a while, and there's also been a problem that has just risen up from the Kickstarter employees. So we were more than one person on the show. I think Scott and myself started asking, is the employment situation at Kickstarter really that bad that people are talking about unionizing?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just a bunch of wet behind the ears kids that are throwing the word union around without knowing, its real purpose or its real starting purpose? As I'm here just a little south of Flint, and we were the start of the UAW up here. Just actually not more than 2 miles away. Yeah, not more than 2 miles away from where I live was the first sit down strike for GM that started, that ended up with the birth of the UAW.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been around unions all my life, and there are, there are really positive things about them, and there are a few negative things about them because, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have, good union people who care about the workers, and you have bad union people that just care about the how much money they can take out of the till. So right now they're striking again because GM, they had given a lot of concessions, and GM had made a lot of money, and they're 3 weeks into a hardcore GM strike. But that doesn't apply to Kickstarter. Kickstarter, they wanted to form a union. They've only got 150 employees, and they're a very liberal, progressive IT company,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what
Yeah.
that's what you would consider
Yeah.
them as. With a boss that probably come up from nothing or next to nothing, who's willing to listen, and he's wondering why in the world people want to unionize.
Yeah.
So Of course, we're not privy to the inside of Kickstarter. There might actually be, a lot of griefs and a lot of problems that aren't being listened to or aired. But it seems like a very small problem when you look at, say, a GM that has thousands and thousands of employees all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Kickstarter has 150, and they're supplied by a small percentage that they pull off of, independent creators and inventors crowdfunding campaigns.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and in order to keep that running, and stop me when it becomes my spin and drifts away from the facts here, but Kickstarter started up in order to fund the little guy. They started up to help the guys that needed money, that couldn't find the corporate funding or couldn't find the incredibly huge investment, because any more research and development and designing and creating, especially a new widget or a new product, takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money. And they were offering a service where an individual could actually contribute a little bit, get a lot of little bits, and it becomes a big bit, in order to help somebody create a book, create a widget or a new invention or whatever. And they have been very successful in the past. They, in order to stay progressive and to keep as wide an audience as possible, they have a very open door policy on taking stuff that they take, but they're also they've become, over the last few years, very politically minded, in that they want progressive opinions a lot more than they want conservative opinions, it seems. And they have refused a lot of people, because if there's a complaint against a certain individual for hate speech, for who knows what, that they don't agree with, they boot them. They refuse to take their campaign. So off of that, and maybe not primarily because of it, there's been other crowdfunding, Indiegogo has popped up in order to take on, to do the same thing that Kickstarter does, only to be a little bit more liberal about who they take. Am I good there? Am I?
Yeah.
I don't want to sound, like I'm straying more into opinion than fact.
Mm-hmm.
But and the gatekeeping thing has been a problem. And what happened is, one of the people that had been previously funded by Indiegogo thought that they would try Kickstarter again, and they were rejected. And just on the heels of that news, and this is my opinion, he decided to try to cash in on some of that publicity by promoting his rejection letter that he had gotten from Kickstarter. So I'm not sure exactly when he got it. I believe that was for Lone Star 1 or Lone Star 2. So and I guess since I've said the name of the product, we're talking about Mike S. Miller.
Right.
Who had a big career at DC doing primarily Injustice. The Injustice line, I believe, and he's done a lot of other things. I'm pretty sure he has. Who, because of his conservative views, was kind of, I won't say, well, I guess the proper term would be muscled out. He was pushed out of DC and had to feed his family. He has an incredibly large family. He's very religious. So he fell in with Ethan Van Sciver and the Comicsgate people, and he was Comicsgate for a good year. And then decided to go off on his own when Ethan defined Comicsgate as being totally neutral and non-religious. And asked people to not make religion or politics their primary reason for doing their comics. Excuse me just for a second. I'm going to need to cough here.
Okay. Yeah. Look at Randy with that cool Indievolt logo up there.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. Welcome. Anyway, earlier in Comicsgate history, they've had a problem with really hardcore right-wing conservatism that they've tried to calm down and try to chase off, because people like throwing things, and here we go. People like throwing their opinions into one specific pigeonhole. You are either A or you're B, and if you're A and you're B, well, we hate you because you're B and we're A. And that kind of political BS tends to make a funnel. So all sorts of different people all get shoved into the same hole, whether they believe everything that the next person in the hole believes or not. So they kind of gathered everybody together into either hardcore progressive liberal or hardcore alt-right white supremacist bigots. And not everybody who is Comicsgate, not everybody who voted for Trump is a white supremacist bigot.
Right.
And though all those people all got, hello Ted, all those people got crowded in together into the same thing. Well, Comicsgate wants to sell comics. That's their main goal. They want to do good old-fashioned comics like they did back in the 80s and 90s when a lot of these guys were growing up or first starting to do products and selling a ton of comics. And that's what they want to get back to. They want to sell a ton of comics. That's what they're out to do. Well, when you try to bring politics into it, like I believe it was Vox Day tried to bring in some hardcore political comics and some white supremacist angled comics, and he was shoved out and shoved out of Comicsgate, and he went off on his own. And I believe I wouldn't be surprised if Kickstarter kicked him as well. I'm pretty sure that they did, though I'm not positive on that. But I do know that they pushed him out of Comicsgate, or at least away from Ethan. Pushed him away with every logical sense, because Ethan seems to be pretty all inclusive, despite what everybody everybody in whole B wants to call him. He seems to be a pretty upstanding dude.
Good morning, Gabe. How you doing?
Morning, Gabe. Mike S. Miller is one of many that were chased off because of their right-wing views that are very religious, very Christian. And a while back during Gay Pride Month, Mike has always done, whatever Mike wants to do. And for whatever reason, Mike started releasing a tweet that said pride is a sin, and really touched the buttons on a lot of the LGBTQ community. With, it's a passive aggressive tweet that he should have never have done, in my opinion. Should have never have done. And there's some things, if your religion teaches against homosexuality and you're a follower of Christ, well, then you would know that Christ accepts all. If you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it was just in my opinion, it was a very bad passive aggressive thing to do, and it irked me. And I'm not one of the LGBTQ community, but I found fault with it and didn't like it. And Ethan found fault with it, and when he went to talk to him about it, he kind of got the door slammed in his face and told, well, you can't tell me how I'm going to do my religion. And pretty much was told, go to hell. And a group of the Comicsgaters split off from him and decided that they were going to do their own so that they can, I guess, be religious in their comics or do whatever. Now, I printed Flint comics for the last 10 years. And one of the comic strips I'm really proud of printing is The Cardinal. And that started out being a very religious strip. I mean, a very religious strip. But I saw that Kurt Kolka wanted to reach the widest audience possible. So he did not change the, he changed the attitude of the strip slightly, but he never faltered on the belief system of the main characters. And there's nothing wrong with having a character that's a particular religion.
Yeah, I mean, Daredevil was a Catholic.
Yeah. And the more realistic comics get, the more we're going to be talking about politics and religion, and they should be. You'd think they should be used to that by now. But there's a difference between having a character's belief system explained and having it shoved down people's throats, or having just outright making I won't say it's hate speech, but it's a hateful statement against any member of any community. That's just, in my opinion, that's just not right. It's just not something that you do, and it's definitely not something you want to do and do a business, because everybody's money is green. And It doesn't matter what people believe or do or whatever. You want people, at least to me, I want to be read, and I want to be read by as many different people as possible. And one of the coolest things that I found growing up was going out into comics and sequential art and digging up people with different opinions and different points of view, and that was part of the joy of reading these books. You know, I'm a big fan of the underground movement, where they were incredibly, I mean, 5 times more liberal than you'll ever see today. You know, and dark humor and naughty humor and all of that, and people with other religious beliefs and faiths and religious comics and that kind of stuff. I'm not against that at all, but Ethan was asking people to keep a civil tone on it in order to attract the widest audience possible. And these other people wanted to be religious, and they cut off from Ethan. They're calling themselves all sorts of different things. I don't know. I'm not. We've had that discussion. I don't care about the title Comics Gate myself, but because it just talks of scandal and not of the fact that you want to make comics that are fun. You know, there needs to be a title out there for people that just want to make comics that are fun and appealable to everybody. And that's been a problem on the other side, in the other hole, that Marvel has had, especially, and DC's had occasionally, about preaching in the other direction and soapboxing in the other direction. So, but anyway, Kickstarter wants to stay liberal because they want to attract as many customers as possible to crowdfund different material. And that means that people who do hateful things and hateful speech aren't welcome at Kickstarter. And they're perfectly welcome to make that policy as long as they adhere to it strictly. You know, so that they don't let somebody in who's making money and yet not that guy because they don't like him, or they've gotten so many people call them that say that he's something when they don't know if he is or not.
Right.
You know, and all of this really started up with Myers, Richard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Richard Meyer. And it forced him to go over to Indiegogo and in order to do Jawbreakers, which he had a deal inside the mainstream comics that was interrupted by other people from the other hole that have made him go and crowdfund everything himself, and he's turning it into an industry.
Well, Randy, we've talked to people in the industry, and we you and I both belong to different groups, you know, in terms of like the Facebook and internet groups and the Twitter groups, the private Twitter groups, and some are which are very pro CG, some are CG meaning Comics Gate, some are anti CG, and we're part of all these different groups because you know we love the industry, we want to follow what's going on, but you know in the pro CG groups, what I hear a lot about Kickstarter is that you can't get a book funded over there the minute you don't adhere or you don't present that liberal tone.
Well, that's very possible. I've never dealt directly myself with Kickstarter, and I totally, you know, I would totally believe that would happen.
Yeah, I say that, and a book that I'm publishing was just funded on Kickstarter, but and went higher than it was the requested asking.
But again, a lot of Kickstarter's so-called liberal tone also is them listening to other outside voices going, you don't want that person on your site.
Yeah.
That person is a bigot. Oh, without pulling up any type of evidence. Well, when you make a tweet that says pride is a sin followed by a rainbow, that's kind of a statement.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a passive aggressive statement that personally I don't agree with. You know, so
we talked about this before, and we talked about if a publisher has the ability to corral and control their talent online. Let's just say that Mike Esmeralda were working for you, and you woke up that morning and seen that he tweeted that out. Would he have gotten a call from you?
Yeah,
I
think he would have. And I sat and listened to Doug TenNaples' reading of the Bible verses over Easter time. I thought that was that had a lot of class and a lot of style. But posting something like I mentioned that Mike did, that's just is it Mike or Mark? Mike? It's Mike.
Mike.
Yeah, it's Mike. Hey, Mike. It's Mike. That's just hateful speech. It's just hateful speech, and it's uncalled for. And there was no apology. There was no, what there was a grandstanding haughtiness of you're not going to tell me how to preach my religion. Like, dude, why are you making comics? Why are you trying to sell comics for everybody? Then go out and sell your religious comics over there. That's what they need to do. There's room for everybody in this business. That's been the biggest problem I think that Marvel and DC has had lately, is that they need to realize, and they should, but they don't, because they've come up with their excuses why there should be everybody in this business. But I felt that way for a long time, that there should have been a lot more variety of talent. There should have been a lot more variety of subject matter. There should have been just a lot more coming out of both Marvel and DC, and they again stuck themselves into a little hole and said, well, we're going to cater to male power fantasies of superheroes running around. Well, that's cool. Well, make some female power fantasies.
Do you and
make some kid power fantasies. There's no
now it seems as if the pendulum has swung back the other way so hard that we have a large group of fans who just feel as though they don't want to buy the books. We talked about last week.
I think that's been happening since the 2000s, because the subject matter has just swung so badly, and they've brought in a lot of really inferior talent.
We talked about last week. Last week we talked about and Lewis was here with us last week. Not last week, this week actually, on Tuesday. And Lewis is he's a believer that the stores are somewhat at fault, largely at fault, I believe he said, for the situation right now with comic sales being down for Marvel and DC.
Well, that's been the invention of the Marvel elite up there that are mostly female, that have been brought in to give a different perspective into the marketplace. They figure now they can't get their perspective out there because most retailers are old white misogynist males. Even though they've been selling, mostly male power fantasies for the last 30 years.
I will say,
well, duh.
I will say this: my local comic shop, and at one point, I believe me and Dave had the same local comic shop. And I won't say any names, but he's very toy heavy, but he also has comics, and excuse me, and he has a wall of Funko Pops like everybody else does, and it was really weird because he had cable installed, he had a TV running in there, and he had Fox News on, and I made a comment to him. I said, it was after, I think it was after the Trump election. It was after the Trump election, and I'm like, are you afraid somebody's going to come in here and get upset with you about you watching Fox News? Running Fox News, because Fox News is, they lean a little right, and he's like, no, I know they don't have to listen, they come in and get their comics or whatever it is, and they can leave. And I said, oh, okay, and then I will never forget when he decided, well, he had a Funko Pop Trump and Hillary figure, and someone made a comment about the Trump figure not being orange enough, the pop. And he said, hey, no Trump bashing in the store. And it was an official rule: no Trump bashing in the store.
Okay.
This gentleman was half Hispanic, by the way, but but he's that was his thing. He didn't want any Trump bashing in the store, and I can understand that. Hey, it's your store. If you don't want any,
but quite honestly, and I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He kind of invited that kind of talk when he stuck Fox News up there. What is he doing playing news programs in a comic shop? People go there to escape reality.
Yeah.
They don't want to look up and suddenly, or look over and suddenly see reality.
Right. And that was always my argument. I said, why don't you just play comic movies?
Yeah,
play comic movies. I mean, I even offered him my whole stack of DVDs.
Run YouTube of those old great Captain America and Iron Man cartoons,
Yeah, yeah. I'm
It's
like,
they're all over YouTube. You can't
yeah,
help but see, or Looney Tunes even. But you don't do that in a comic shop. You
yeah.
go into a comic shop to lose yourselves and buy more ways to lose yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Usually you lose them and come out and say, "Oh crap, my wife's gonna kill me."
Yeah,
But,
exactly. You come out with a stack and you go, "Oh my God, how much did I just spend?"
yeah. Um,
Don't take more than you could afford to lose.
um, it- I guess I can see how someone would be turned off. I made that point to say I told that story to make this point. I could tell how somebody might not want to go to that store
Oh yeah,
and buy comics.
because you should
um,
be accepting of all, of every and all. And
yeah,
yeah, there are just some things you don't want to get into when you're trying to sell people stuff because you don't know how they lean or how they believe or which hole they fit in
mhm.
or they think that they fit in. You know.
I, I mean, and now, but I've gone. There's a little shop, a comic store. You wouldn't even notice it on Gratiot.
But
And but
I'm sorry to change the subject here. Keep that story in mind. What I
mhm,
was going to say, just think of how this market would be different if somebody up there, the big guys at the big two, when all of this kerfluffle happened during the last election, came by and said, incorrect speech, get rid of that tweet, make an apology. You're here to sell to everybody.
mhm,
What a huge difference, even now in the market after 2 years of this happening, would
mhm.
have would have changed. You wouldn't have had what we've got now. You wouldn't have CG
No.
running. All of this stuff and all of that money could still be going back into the mainstream companies through the retailers.
Mhm,
Just think of how all of that has shifted because somebody up there at the big two went, "Oh, you voted for Trump? Well, we're going to remember your name."
mhm.
Holy crap,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Trico says some rock bands start out as Christian rock bands because there's a huge built-in market audience for them. Do you think that could be a motivation for people making Christian comics?
Well, there is a huge amount of Christian stores still out there. There was a big market out there. I'm not sure how that market sits now because I haven't looked recently. And I know our Christian store here up the street has shut down.
The one
Uh,
down the street from me did too. It's weird.
yeah. But I'd be interested in knowing how that market runs. But to go back to my personal experience, the main reason I picked up Cardinal was because, and I knew when I picked it up that he had a really hardcore uh, religious leaning, but he had toned it so far down, and the strip was just an enjoyable superhero strip with a very moral, very Christian person in it. And I felt that that was something that everybody needed to read because he was having personal challenges of conscience and will and it just made for a really good quality strip.
Mhm. Um,
So if they want to hit a particular genre or business, then they need to do that research and go out there and appeal to it.
Randy, do you think? And I'm asking. I should ask the people listening on Indie Radio to weigh in.
I
Do
know,
you
like
think?
I know, like Jason Moore was working. I think the company's name was Keystone. They did sequential art adaptions of the Bible
Mhm.
that he was doing a lot of work for. That was going through the Christian bookstores, and they were selling a lot of stuff. So
I'm going to ask people listening in the chat too. You can weigh in on this for Indie Vote and Indie Vote Radio as well. Do you think possibly it just is a perfect storm of behaviors that led to this? Like you do have the stores that aren't, because I mean you have the stores that maybe aren't going out publishing, or not publishing, but pushing the books as much as they should be. But as a store, how much can you push a comic if the fan base is there? I mean, you can hang the posters up in the window. Hey, this new event is coming. This new book is coming. You ought to pick it up. Um,
you would be amazed because people want to pick up products that they lose themselves in and that they're entertained from. What a good twinkle in the eye and a good confidential talk from somebody, especially back when I was retailing, because back then comics were $2, buck and a half, that you could talk somebody into picking up a book. I sold a ton when I was, and that's not an exaggeration. I sold a ton of Teen Titans #1 when it first come out, when I was working at a chain of adult bookstores that carried direct sale comics. It was really a bookstore with an adult aisle. But I sold a ton of Teen Titans #1s just from taking it and putting it in people's hands going, you buy X-Men, you're going to love this. And that every retail shop needs to have people in there behind the counter that know the product that they're selling. It's just part of the business. And part of good business is to be aware of what people are buying. And they can definitely influence customers coming through the door. I don't know how difficult that is now when comics are $5 a hit for a 1 of 6 story, but back in my day, it was very easy to do, and it was very easy to have somebody spend an extra $10 or $15 and walk out with a small stack of books.
I just wonder if because we can point to a lot of people, and it all seems very plausible, who's at fault.
There's no one person at fault with this, unless you go right back up to the top of the mainstream companies that grabbed somebody and goes, I don't care if you have any experience in comics. We need your point of view. We'll teach you how to draw funny books, or we'll teach you how to write funny books. Come on. Which did happen, by the way. And the problem is those people that hired, they kept bumping up into the system, and then they decided they were going to be whole A, and that everybody else out there, the fans especially, and the retailers are now whole B. And they have to go. So we have to find new ways to channel whole A product instead of channeling product to appeal to everybody.
I spoke to, let's see here. Ted says, so you have another local comic shop? I do have another local comic shop that I go to. Actually, it's funny. I actually kind of go to Second and Charles now because
that's your new comic shop.
Yep,
because I can get them cheap.
I can get them cheap. I can walk right in there and get what I want. There's music playing, regular music. There's no it's pretty nice. Ted Davey says deprogram, shut the TV off. Trico says my local comic shop usually talks me into buying stuff.
Yeah.
He knows what I like and usually ordering it knowing I buy it. A Get retailer does that.
And I think a lot of the retailers out there that are struggling aren't doing that. They're not out there trying to upsell. They're just going, what's in your pull list? Oh, let me grab your bag. Let me add it up. Oh, that's $50. Thank you. See ya.
Yeah.
Instead of going and looking and going, oh, did you know this series just come out by this artist, or this series just come out by this author? But again, you have to know your product. And I would wager there's a huge amount of people that are up there watching these local comic shops that most of them, well, maybe not most of them, a good half of them at least don't read comics.
Yeah. John Cashman's in Bay City is awesome. He really knows how to run a local comic shop.
Cashman's has been up there for years and years.
Yeah.
So he's an old time guy, and he knows his customers. That's the way it always used to run.
Trico says, however, I don't think it's a retailer responsibility to promote comics, but if they want to stay open, they have to know their customers and what their customers will buy.
Well, that's true too. But the real thing is that these publishers have to publish stuff that the retailers can sell. Even if they think that they have to get a different opinion out there, or a different point of view, they need to go out there and educate their retailers and do something in order to pull people into their shop. Marvel especially looks at the retailer in total opposition to what they're doing. They think that all of the retailers just need to go and they need to concentrate on anything, anyway else. That's why they were the first ones to bump into Ollie's. They were the first ones to bump into libraries. They were talking about doing kiosks in malls and starting individual Marvel stores some years back. They've never appreciated the retailer or their purpose, the chain that the retailer is responsible for, and the amount of money that the retailer brings into the company.
Mhm.
And they need to understand that. And right now, they're on a big tear to try to break the backs of every retailer they possibly can by flooding the market with bad or next to bad crap. Now there's been a big push within the last few months over at Marvel to start doing a little bit more quality stuff, grabbing some more quality people in. But who knows? It could be too little, too late at this point. There's
Mhm.
still so much product out there that they think that the numbers are low because the retailers are misogynistic old men who can't sell their product. Instead of making product for comic readers and retailers to have enough confidence in to push to the customers and sell.
Hmm.
That's been the whole thing. You have to respect the chain of sale. And your customer, Marvel's immediate customer is that retailer.
Mhm.
Because that retailer's main objective is to take it out of the Diamond box. Diamond needs to be looked at as the cog that they should be, and totally put in their place.
Mhm.
And the line should be Marvel, DC, straight to the retailer, or whatever comic company out there, straight to the retailer. With Diamond, being the mules that they're supposed to be.
Mhm.
Instead of Diamond dictating terms, Diamond dictating exclusives, Diamond dictating which people in the green section are going to be promoted that month or not, Diamond deciding who gets into that green section in the first place.
Mhm.
They say they have a retail council, but the retail council hardly approves, anything. You have to, and they make the hoops impossible for a new company coming in to even get in front of the retail board when you have to have 3 issues of a book totally done
Yeah,
in order for the retailer to approve it,
sometimes I think that
or in order for Diamond to carry it.
yeah,
Then you have to follow the hoop of pulling in so much money, I believe it's gross, before Diamond even sends you an invoice, let alone communicate with you.
mhm.
It's just ridiculous. There's no way there's no way that system's viable, and they're finding that out.
Sometimes I wonder many how long before Diamond's actually running your company for you.
Technically, they are. They already are. That's why I stopped doing Arrow way back in the 2000s.
It reminds me a lot of PayPal, who says we're not a bank. We're not a bank. We're not. They list in detail what they aren't
Mm-hmm.
while acting like that very thing.
Yeah.
And I was telling a gentleman, and this is just for everybody. In fact, I even told some another streamer this, because I even put it in Ethan's stream once. The guys that decided to post all their PayPal links, because I guess it's just easier to donate to them to PayPal than Patreon, because their Patreons can get shut down. All that good stuff.
That's a whole nother funnel.
Well, I told them, I suggested to them all, don't make your PayPal address public unless you can afford to lose it. Because I had a gentleman PayPal me some money for a drawing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, awesome effing picture. PayPal's little web bots crawled over it, found the word effing and picture, put those two together, and automatic closure of account with over, it's a couple $100 in the account, but enough to make you, say what the hell. And then they keep your money for 160 days.
Did you ever get your money back out of that?
Oh, I did. I got a check. 160 days, and so you got to be very, and then you can start a new account, sure, after like 30, 45 days, but that account is gone. So anything that account is attached to, and it was attached to my web store, it was attached to a couple other things, things that I paid through, all gone. I had to go back through all those services and and if you have a card that's connected to one of those accounts, your card's still locked to that account, so you can't use your card on it. It's a complete mess.
Yeah,
so
it sounds like it. So in your opinion, the gatekeeping that PayPal does is totally outrageous.
It is. It's really outrageous. I know a young lady. She's actually friends with my wife. She had money come from a camming site. And a web camming site where girls go cam girls.
Yeah.
And she got her money, and she was very happy about it. She went to the bank that morning, or ATM, swiped her card, transaction declined. Say, what the hell? Did a little shopping, went home, went her PayPal account, and found her PayPal account was limited. She called and they said, yeah, we noticed you got the money from, I'm drawing a blank on the cam site right now. We
Let's
noticed
just
your
say
money.
X cam site.
Yeah, X cam site. And hey, we don't accept payments on it because it could be pornography or and she's like, I'm not doing pornography. What are you? Well, yeah, but you could be.
You could be. Yeah.
So we're not going to do business with you. Your account's been locked. And so I warn everybody, any independent contractor out there, keep, especially in this day and age, in this climate, keep your PayPals secure. There is nothing. Imagine we put our PayPals up here. Hey, donate to us, and some malicious bastard decides to send in a $2 payment with a string of cuss words, and all of a sudden, that PayPal that could have $1,000, $2,000 in it that you desperately need is now shut down, and that money is not available to you for 160 days.
Well, you want to keep your PayPal account as low as possible anyway.
Yeah.
So they have as little control over your money as possible.
Yeah.
You want that in your bank or credit union where you can control it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I always believe.
They
because you can always transfer money out of your PayPal or out of your credit union to your PayPal in order to pay somebody.
Yeah.
If you have to pay them online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they're worth the percentage that they take. But having money sitting there just to sit there, that's begging for abuse.
Yeah, it is. I try to keep my PayPal.
Your stacks of bills in one place.
I try to keep my PayPal low. And again, it's funny, PayPal says we're not a bank, but when you go, it's weird. You can go into negative balance with them. You can go into negative balance with PayPal.
Do they charge outrageous banking fees if you do?
I'm not sure. That
just keep tumbling and adding up.
I went into a negative balance with PayPal once before, and I've had some bad experiences with PayPal. I still have a PayPal account, but I've had some bad experiences with them. I had an ex-girlfriend of mine order a bunch of items on me, and she ordered them about a week after we broke up. She ordered them. I forgot she had access to it. She went to eBay and she clicked the check option.
She didn't forget she had access to it.
She didn't know I forgot she had access. And she got a bunch of stuff. And about a month later, I get a email. I'm looking through my email, and it tells me, you have an hour, contact us urgently. And PayPal is like, hey, you owe us $180. And what did I buy? I didn't buy anything. And they're like, you bought this book and this toy and this action figure, and you bought some video game cards. And I'm like, no, I did not.
Purple double header. I've never heard of that before. Is that a new comic?
well, they said it was funny. The guy I spoke to in the fraud department, he said, well, I'm looking at your past purchases and the purchase on this account, and they match up. And I'm like, well, the problem is, it's my ex-girlfriend that made these purchases. We do have similar tastes. She was my girlfriend after all. I don't have any of these items. Rather than side with me, they told me no. I had to pay for them, and I did. I had to pay $180 for items I never received. So that sucked. But I will be very.
You did pull her off of that account, though, right?
Oh yeah, the account. I closed that account and moved on to a new one.
That's the trouble of having anybody on your own account.
Yeah. Well, she had the password to it. Is what happened, and So I closed that account down immediately afterwards, and I
change your girlfriend, change your passwords.
Yeah. Speaking of that, everybody, it is National Boyfriend Day. So if you are listening and you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, let your significant other know that it is National Boyfriend Day.
Just so you can get that extra kick in the groin.
Yeah.
You forgot Sweetest Day. Kick.
Yeah. Well, Sweetest Day is supposed to be for us, remember? It's supposed to be the male version of Valentine's Day, but
I thought Christmas was for us.
We only get socks and ties on Christmas. New underwear.
I get every tchotchke from Doctor Who you could ever imagine.
Really?
Yeah, I have a TARDIS pancake turner.
um, I have, and we talked about the Mike S. Miller situation. Um, Randy, do you think that another subset of Comicsgate will emerge?
No, no. The when the team of dissenters, the 12 or 16 weirdos, I guess you would say, um, got together and decided to block everybody on CG and said that they'll tear each other apart. I think that's what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing everybody tear each other apart because absolute money changes people. A lot of money changes people really quickly. So somebody makes 800,000 on a comic. My God, that guy's an enemy. How the hell did he do that? Blah blah blah. You know, you get a couple of guys that do that, you probably have a small war, which is what we're seeing. You know, and we got another guy who doesn't know. Well, let's not go there. But you get another guy who's a couple thousand shy. He gets mad because the other guy's making money, and all of a sudden, any little picky thing, all you got to do is pop that balloon once, and if you're not mature, that immaturity will kick in, and all of a sudden you've got an enemy for life. That's really what we're seeing. There's so much money being channeled through, especially the CG crowdfunding campaigns, that all of these kids, most of them, not all of them, most of these kids are acting like spoiled brats. You've got a couple people that have a mental state where they can handle it, but that, just look, and again, history repeating itself. Look at the Image kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that term loosely now because they're all grown up and mature adults. But man, did they go through and learn. And I'll bet you there was the same kind of angry little petty bickering and spitting and arguing between all of those Image kids that you're having now to the CG people.
It's not, now it's public.
Now it's very public because we have social media. Back during the 80s, you didn't have it so much. And a lot of these guys at Image were talking face to face too, and a lot of on the CG and the Indiegogo, the people are all streaming like we are,
Right.
And it's very difficult to get your point across sometimes.
Yeah, I get way up in the camera.
Yeah, you got to put your face right in it. Exactly.
We're going to. I was told that we don't talk about enough comics on the channel.
Gods fear me.
Book one, from Michael.
I've sworn off of donating to crowdfunding campaigns until some of the previous crowdfunding campaigns actually fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think I told you a few episodes ago. I was out walking with my wife. She asked me who I've bought into, and I'm going through and making this long list and going, holy crap, I've got a lot of money floating out there. Not doing nothing. I haven't seen books from any of these people.
I'm sure most of them. I've gotten a couple updates. I know some books right now are at the printer.
I didn't think I had invested into a whole lot, but you see an awesome book and you buy it, and you see another awesome book and you buy it, and suddenly 6 months go by, 8 months go by. There's one book that's 10 months late. It's like, dude, what are you doing to me?
This one here is got 25 days left. The Gods Fear Me, book one,
and it's not like I'm sorry to break your thing, but it's not like they're on a podcast every day or every week explaining to you all of the trials and tribulations that they've been going through.
That is important. I mean,
communication is the key on this. But I'm waiting. I'm sitting here counting off the books, and I'm like going, well, I wonder where that book is. And I have to go up and find their Indiegogo campaign, see where they promise. It's like, oh, well, they're only 2 months late.
Yeah. But I think when you're 2 months late and you're on the page and you're explaining, hey, here's why we're 2 months late. Here's what's being done. Yeah. Here's what I'm going to do to reconcile that with you. I'm throwing in an extra, little item
Yeah, I
you.
know that was a point with you about getting back on Indiegogo, where you bought the damn book from in the first place,
Yeah,
and making a statement
yeah. Just
about
go.
where your
Yeah,
progress is. Hang in
yeah,
there; it's another month, or hang
yeah.
in there; it's another 2 months, or
Yeah, just get in there and let people know that you're having these issues,
yeah.
and most people are forgiving if you just communicate with them.
They just want to know.
Right,
Oh,
right.
oh yeah, okay. It's going to be 2 months because of this and this. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, that sucks, but okay.
Yeah.
I guess we have no choice, and you're letting us know when you abscond.
That's why I wasn't upset about Cyberfrog, because I've printed comics before and I've run into all of the problems that, not all of them exactly, because I've never printed a chromium cover before, that Ethan ran into. And I listened to his podcast and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, other people in his comments were saying, I don't have time to listen to your YouTube streams or go through hours of stream to find out what's going on in this book.
And that is a really good point, because
Yeah.
nobody has time to listen to everybody's stream, especially
Right,
anymore, because there's
right.
so many people out there podcasting.
Yeah, just a quick update would have saved him a lot of trouble, I think,
Yep.
and a lot of ill will. And
Oh yeah.
that's what I've been telling people. Just post it there, let everybody know, hey, because that's where they bought the book from. They bought it from Indiegogo,
And it doesn't take long.
right,
It just takes as long to type a message, and you can even cut and paste it if you need to send it out to an email batch or put it up on Twitter or whatever at the same time. Just cut and paste the damn thing. You're looking at Gods Fear Me, Book 1, Androids and Aliens Battle Across Wastelands of Earth for the Fate of Mankind. 32 pages!
32 pages. It's
What's his goal? He's only 400 short of his goal, right?
uh
No, he's 1,400
yeah,
short of his goal.
yeah.
He's got 25 days left, so he's got a chance.
Yeah. I think he'll definitely do it.
You know Mike Murphy?
Mike Murphy is a part of one of the groups that you and I are in on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
So
He's one of the kids' table.
Yep, I like bringing those guys on, and having them come in with their books. So we're going to see if we can get Michael on at some point too, and talk to him
Slide
about.
down there and show some art.
So it's this is it's 32-page post-invasion sci-fi horror epic set hundreds of years after the fall of the human race. The gargantuan tale is brought to you by Mike Murphy, writing, and Kristen Rossi, art. All copies will be signed by Mike Murphy. They invaded, we died. The ancient ones brought the human race to near extinction. Now the android Kedzi fights to reclaim our world and protect a young boy who might be the key to our salvation.
It's
the
up
book,
to Kenzie to save us all.
That's right. The book is colored, from what I understand. From what I'm looking at,
There's a color page right there. They show a
show-
black and white and a color page right after it.
Yeah, they're showing
They-
the process of the
They
color.
strategically cover the naughty bits.
Yeah, I think they're showing the color process right now, so that's good. Looks good, and it looks like you can pick up this book. There's a couple of stretch codes, but it looks like let's see, the physical and prequel novella, $25.
That's a graphic novel.
Yeah, the alt cover, which I'll show you. I like that alt cover. It's gorgeous. I'll show you that at the bottom. Single physical copy is $15. Digital copy is 10. Digital prequel copy is 8. But I want to show you the guys that alternate cover. I thought the art was great on it. I do like this art too. I think this is pretty cool looking.
Nice gray tones.
Yeah.
Just enough, you know.
Yeah. Where is it? Right here. This is.
That's a good panel.
Yeah, this right here. This is the cover, the alternate cover.
That's good.
It's work in progress, not final, but I think I like that. It's gorgeous. It's.
It'd be a shame if they plan on inking that. That needs to be painted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I would like to see Kyle Ritter color that.
Yes. Yep. I'd like to see him ink and color it.
Yeah.
That'd be with that type of graduation tone and that line work. That's something that Jason Moore would do incredibly well.
There's stretch goal bonus of $8,000. I guess he admitted. Postcards and swag bag now feature art by Carl O'Rourke.
Always good to have a swag bag.
Trading card and swag bag now features art by Ethan Van Sciver. Black and white base, full color unlocked with 10K stretch goal. Chibi Comics thanks both of these upstanding agents for their contributions. So, so let me see. Where were they at again? They were at 4,600. So they've broke a couple of goals. They're not quite at these here yet, but
They have a lot more goals to break, though.
yeah. Yeah, a lot more, and I think they might do it. I think they might do it. But definitely, if you're looking for a sci-fi book to sink your teeth into, this looks like a good one to try out. Um, as well as, of course, the books we had on here before. We have Ted Davies Has Retrieve, which is doing phenomenally well. Uh, it's another sci-fi book, and I think that if you there are tons of books out there that we don't get a chance to cover, and we are trying to make a way through those covers, all those books, because I feel bad. I feel bad that we don't get a chance to talk
We
about
should
all of them.
probably be doing an episode.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate to be doing silly book reports, but we should keep people attuned to some of these Indiegogo campaigns that we think are worth backing.
Yeah, and this looks like a good one. I'll back it. Looks like a good one. I will. I don't know the release date of the book, but excuse me. I would advise everybody who invest in a campaign to be patient.
And keep notes.
Yeah,
Keep a little notebook or something, especially if you invest into a lot of them, so that you know what's coming, when, who you're coming from.
right.
Because
Now,
I'm sure I'm going to end up getting a book one of these days, and I'm going to go.
who?
I added this campaign. Well, I kind of thought about getting the book, but I don't remember buying into it. But
Right now,
probably 3 years later, the rate some of these guys are going.
no, that's not
It's
to
not,
say.
and it's not a dig on Ethan either. It's these other guys are starting to get late too.
That's not to say that you should be giving everybody books or giving everybody the benefit of the doubt when it comes to Kickstarters or Indiegogos. Randy, when is too long for your product?
There's no real timeline as long as you stay in communication. That's the
Mhm.
key.
What the last time I communicated with you on a project was August 30th of 2018.
It's a while. If I haven't heard from you, who are you? Who are we talking about?
ZQ.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
uh,
Is that the 80,000 game campaign?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Um,
We don't need to go there.
no. But 85,448. Um,
Because I'm sure ZQ's campaign isn't the oldest one out there that hasn't been.
oh,
fulfilled.
it's not. But the last update was August 30th, 2018,
Oh yeah.
and she has yet to
She's
tell
done,
people, hey, here's what I'm doing with your 85. And
she's done so much since then.
and it's weird because you don't see the same type of aggravation. Let me see something. I just want to bring up a point where I see a little bit of
Well, 80,000 is a lot different than 800,000.
it is
There's a whole zero there, buddy.
it is, but
80,000 is still a lot of money.
and you make a good point. Hold on.
And quite frankly, I don't think anybody bought into ZQ's account intentionally to harass the shit out of her.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is exactly what's happened with the bigger account.
I'm trying to see exactly how much you had to pay to actually get the game.
Should probably look at the number of investors.
There were, Kickstarter's weird about that. There were
Not surprised.
2,450 backers. They asked for originally $69,420, and they're at $85,448. So, and they haven't, produced anything yet. Now,
no, you can't say that.
oh yeah,
Because I believe there was an incredible European vacation that was tied into that.
There was a European vacation. Delicious food was ate. Delicious. The delicious foodstuffs were
Yes.
yeah. I think that but I was looking at the comments And 1 month ago, a gentleman said, "What you're going through effing sucks," because she recently went through some trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, and yeah, take as long as you need with this. We'll be here waiting and supporting you. Someone chimes in, "Here, here. We all support you and want the best for you."
Well, to go back to my original analogy, there are quite a few a-holes out there.
Um,
And there's a lot of b-holes out there too.
yeah, but you go to some other pages, which a lot more money, and people are like, "Hey, where's my effing comic book? I'll tie you up by your junk and kick you in the forehead 5 times."
And again, I don't think anybody bought into ZQ's game intentionally to harass the shit out of her.
Well, you couldn't afford to. You could. I mean, some of the
Some people have already said that the first thing they're going to do as soon as they get Cyberfrog is scan it and put it up online.
I seen someone put that in the thing. They said they already read it on a scan site.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Um.
That's why you don't sell digital copies, people.
Yep. And again, if you listen to us, you'll know that I think Randy.
Not of anything
like
you don't want to have all over the place.
Yeah, we're very highly against providing PDFs. A lot of people who provide PDFs are providing the actual print file to their backers. Do not do that. If you must do a PDF version, make sure it's low res so when they try to print it, or if a person tries to print it, it looks horrible.
Yes.
It looks pixelated and grainy.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you don't know how to do that, find somebody to do it. There are people
Grainy
who
as
do
possible.
it for. Yeah.
That also keeps your file from getting too heavy anyway.
Right. There are people who will do it for you if you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But make that PDF low res. And they can read it on their computer screen, their tablet screen perfectly. But the second they go to print it, it's going to look muddy and grainy and pretty much,
you want to make it as difficult for them as possible to pirate it.
If
watermarks, anything that you can do.
Yeah. If you must provide PDFs, if you have to. We get a lot of PDFs at indievault.com to review. And unfortunately, half the time I am sent very high res 2 gigabyte print files, 3 gigabyte print files, which I can run right to the comic store and print if I want it, to the printer and have printed if I want it. So, and I'm telling you right now, it's only a matter of time before somebody finds their book printed.
And believe me, there's a lot of glorified Xeroxes out there available and well capable of doing that kind of job.
Oh yeah.
Even in color and have it look good.
Yeah. We did have a statement from a guy who stated, and I'll bring it up now. I was going to put it on, but I didn't have the graphic ready. But a gentleman said that he sent his book out as a PDF and about 3 years ago. And since that time, he discovered a company was selling his book with their trade dress, still his name. His name is still in the credits. With a different trade dress and moving the book, hundreds of copies. Not hundreds of copies, at a Comic-Con. And when he inquired to them what the hell, they said, "Hey, we got this license from someone."
Got this what?
License from someone. We bought the license for this book from someone 2 years ago. And what had happened was
okay.
Yeah. What had happened was, he sold that PDF, or he sent the PDF off to somebody. Somebody thought it was a great book and said, "Hey, I'm gonna repurpose this." And he's screwed. And that's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen again. Do not send out PDFs. Unless this is someone you know.
There would be lawyers a-flying if that happened to me. There'd be a lot of paperwork involved, some money spent.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be a cease and desist either. I'd slap them hard and get them for everything that I could possibly get them for, and I would make up numbers. I'd have my lawyer go, "You go after this with me, dude. I don't care if you take a third, take 40 or 50% if you want to. I want him hung." That's what I'd tell him. Good bulldog lawyer. All of those people, they'll go all the way up the line. Who'd you get the license from? Because that's not something that's protected by First Amendment speech.
No.
and just run up the ladder until you find the people responsible and serving papers all the
Mhm.
way, and just nab them all. Because people like that need to be burned. They need to be burned really bad. They need to be made an example of.
Mhm. Uh, do you think that people who I've got a friend, she and her husband switched over to all digital comics because of room. They don't have the room in their house.
Yeah. Okay.
So they've got, I think they've got Walking Dead all physical. They kept those.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept a couple other books at physical, but for the most part, they think traded in, sold, all their physical copies. Do you think that that's? I mean, you've got a big collection of
I was
comics.
going to say you're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, you got a big collection of comics. So I don't think you'd ever switch over. How about you, Chat? Chat, you guys ever
I
consider
think if
switching
my
over to
house
digital?
ever goes up, it's going to go up quick. We got plenty to burn here.
Lots of paper.
I mean, I met my wife while I was retailing at a comic shop, so she's got more long boxes than I do. I've got more books than she does. Well, no, not anymore. I take that back. Not physical books. I have more art books and graphic novels than she has, but she's got a lot more written books, and she can absorb a book in a day. Just
I wonder if
it's amazing how fast
do
she
you
reads.
guys have any digital apparatuses to read books on?
She refuses.
She won't do it.
No. She hates it. Hates her eyes. She stares at a computer all day when she's working. She doesn't want to come home. And it took me forever to get her laptop here for her to get on Facebook. Forever. She just was never going to do it. And she absolutely refuses to get a reader now. I've offered a couple times, and because seriously, if the reader goes bad, all your books are gone. If your computer goes bad, unless you have the stuff stored in a cloud or on a site somewhere, all your electronic files are screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if like with Amazon, it's tied to your Amazon account, so you're still good. But yeah.
Not only that, but did you see the 8-month report from IDW?
No.
Their digital sales are dropping like a freaking stone.
Does IDW put out their digital numbers?
What?
Does IDW puts out their digital numbers?
They put out their digital media numbers, yeah. They always have as part of their stock report because they have to do full disclosure.
No, Marvel doesn't do that. Marvel doesn't make that public.
Marvel's part of Disney. Disney doesn't have to do anything it doesn't want to. They even buy theater seats like crazy so that they can boast a movie can break $1 billion. Bingo bango. That's already been pretty well proven.
Mm-hmm.
So
what was IDW's numbers like?
I don't have the proper slide whistle here for the sound effect, but yeah, you know that bucket?
Yeah.
It's got a really big hole in it. And it's a lot bigger than last year. So I think we're talking, I think it was 9.4 million.
Loss?
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly. That was an 8-month report. That's not the end of the year report.
Wow.
That's just the third, or the second third of the year report.
Mm-hmm. In relation to the comics we're talking about, Trico says, I usually sell or donate them as soon as I read them to save space in the house. There's a handful that I keep to bag and bore. I still haven't gotten into digital.
Yeah. I think you're going to see a big turn. I do back to physical.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much better, and when you buy something physical, you buy it and you can touch it and you can feel it, as opposed to having it on your reader that you can just swipe through it. Yeah. Quickie stuff, newspapers and that, yeah, they're probably the thing of the past. But I think you're going to see digital comics well, they have plateaued the last 4 years, 5 years, the sales on them from what everybody's been able to figure.
I just had a guy come to me in South Dakota and ask me if the books were available online. I said, yeah, they're available online. You can get them. He said, well, no, can I download can I get this digitally? And I told him, I said, no. And my reason is because, again, I like a physical book. I like having that physical book in my hand. Now, I am working on a few things for Last Call. that will allow me to do some digital sales and allow people to get those books digitally if they are there. But what I don't want to do, and what I advise anybody not to do, is to go in full bore thinking you're going to make money digitally on books and finding out you're not. People, like, especially when the digital book is the same exact price as the printed version.
Yes.
I don't understand with video games and movies. I don't understand. But see, I was told, and I came from an era where I was told that video games cost so much because the access to production, the creation, all of that stuff, which I agree. I understand why they cost so much per unit. But then I was told packaging, the booklet, and the shipping all factored into why that game was $60.
Right.
And okay, I understand. So I'm willing to pay $60 to get this game. And then the first thing they took down was all of a sudden now I went from getting a booklet with the game, instruction booklet, to getting one sheet of paper inside the game telling me, oh, here's a picture of this, and you can go to this website and see the booklet or get some instructions.
Yep.
And all of the tutorial is inside the game. So you just click on the tutorial, you can read all of that in the game. Okay. But the game price didn't drop down at all. The packaging is still there, but it's much smaller. They're not making these corrugated cardboard boxes anymore. They're little clamshell cases that I can buy 10 for $8 off of eBay or any type of other providers. I don't know where you guys are buying your cases from. I understand there's money that has to go into it, but then when I go to get the digital version of that same game and it's the same price, I have questions. Why isn't there a savings there? And so when I see digital comics being sold for $3.99 and the physical copy is still $3.99, you know what? I'm gonna get that physical copy because there's a chance that I might go to a store or I might go to a con and I want to be able to see that person who did that comic and have them sign it. They ain't signing on a tablet. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, signing books. I've decided, Randy, that the book with the strangest and most erratic worth rate is X-Force #1. Now, I told you guys before I picked this up at a convention in Monroe. But the first time I got it from Second and Charles. And I picked it up for $5. They're doing buy 5, get 5 deal. So I'm not sure if I actually paid for this book or if it's one of the ones I got for free. But X-Force #1, that's Rob's artwork.
By the way, Rob Liefeld's birthday is today.
Happy birthday, Rob.
Rob Liefeld.
Yeah. So I bought this book, $5. I had no problems with it. It's gonna say in the packaging. It comes with a card, trading card, and everything. X-Force #1. I went to a convention the very next week and was digging through long boxes in Indiana and found 5 of these books in the guy's 50-cent box.
Ka-ching.
So I picked them up, all of them.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, either Second and Charles doesn't know the value, or this guy that I bought the books from in Indiana doesn't know the value.
It's called dollar cost averaging.
Well, then...
Now, how much for all 6 books did you pay?
Well, at Second and Charles, I paid $5 for this one. The other ones, so what is it? I was about at $4?
50 cents.
Yeah, 50 cents, yeah.
$4 divided by 6. There's your cost for each of those books.
Well, the story deepens. The story gets deeper because I was in South Dakota at SuperCon, and I'm over at a comic book store. I don't want to say the name because they are big. They're not. Well, I guess they're decently sized in that region. And I'm going to their long boxes, and I pick up a copy of X-Force #1. And do you know the price he has on the book?
Huh.
Unsigned, just like this, same condition.
Okay.
$50.
Ka-ching.
I wish I'd have had mine. I would have sold him some.
It shows you those the comics like that are only worth how much you can get the next guy to pay for them.
Yeah. Gabe says, even worse, I bought the physical copy of Doom for PC. The DVD didn't have the game. It had a link to download it on Steam. Yes. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that, Gabe.
Yeah. You're gonna
Thanks for listening.
pay.
We're all
You're
going to pay.
Yeah.
It's just, schemes and scammers and schemes. Is that what they call it?
The scams and schemes.
Scams and schemes.
Yeah. um. And then Lola pointed out something to me the other day. Lola likes to look at previews, Latin previews books. She likes to look at them, and she discovered that the books that I had out that I brought up that I thought were new. These here.
Oh,
They're the
now
DVD.
no longer in mint,
Yeah,
but still new.
The DVD sets that I pulled out with the book. Lola said there actually were in previews.
Okay.
Yeah, they were in previews.
For once, huh? That's
Yeah, from 2015.
not surprising. Well, look at those, like the comics that you had on Tuesday, the magazines I never even knew existed.
Yeah,
And you'd have thought somebody somewhere would have said something.
yeah. Somebody would have said that because you would have picked these up, right, Randy?
Say what?
You would have picked them up, right?
The heck yeah, I would have.
You would have picked these up.
Yeah. I don't ever remember them being out. I am very much looking forward to looking at them.
They
Also looking forward to Alterna Comics' new 80-page giants that are coming out in newsprint for $4.99. That's a good idea.
This one has a profile of Alex Saviuk. Saviuk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a profile of him in there. It's I thought it was stand for a second, but it's not.
Cool. He did a lot of work for a lot of people, both Marvel and DC.
Yeah, profiles of. I can't pronounce some of these
He
names.
still does shows. I see him listed on the guest list every once in a while.
I can't pronounce these names.
Well, yeah, try to pronounce Sienkiewicz without somebody telling you. We were calling him Sinkowicz for the longest time. What are we looking at?
Larry, profile of Larry Mashted?
Walstead.
Malstead?
Walstead. Yeah. That's interesting that they put profiles in there. Kind of cool, actually. Because there's so many other pinups and things that they could fill up those spaces on. If I had control over reprints on a book like that big, man. That's why I love those old Marvel collector's item classics. I pick those. I get these whenever I find a retailer that has them for a couple of bucks. Yeah, they're reading copies, but they're so much fun to go through because it's got all of these olds. And I mean, we're talking Kirby and Ditko stories in them that are even though I've got reprints of them already in Essentials, it's still cool to pick them up and read them in comic book form and color. It's pretty awesome.
I want to ask you this too, Randy. I picked up a book
and DC, Didio scratches his head wondering why the facsimile books are selling better than the originals. It's like, dude, take those facsimile books, throw them together into 100-page super spectaculars, and make some hard money.
You're probably going to tell me I was I was at the con and I picked up a book. Let's see, hold on real quick. Gabe says I bought it mainly for the variant cover that was an homage to the original game's cover for his doing piece for PC. Yeah, we've all been there and we've all got burned on.
We've all been scammed by variant covers in the past.
I bought a game and got home and opened it and there was a piece of paper inside. I'm like, where's the physical? Because they knew people want the physical copy, so they were Star Wars in this. They were selling us an empty box, and you thought the game was inside. And you go home and there's a code to go download it.
Yeah,
I was really upset. Randy, when I was at that con in South Dakota, I came across a book.
See, crap like that you just described. That's how piracy happens. Then everybody shares that code.
Yeah. Normally now they make the codes like one-time use though. Usually that
Maybe so, but if you go a letter up or down, do a little exploring, you're bound to find a new code.
Oh yeah. At that con, I came across a book by called Someplace Strange from Ann Ossetti.
Okay.
And John Bolton. I didn't.
Name sounds familiar. I mean, the product sounds familiar. It sounds like an old Marvel graphic novel.
I got up on screen now. There it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's an old epic graphic novel.
yeah. They only wanted $6 for it at the show. I didn't pick it up. I kind of kicking myself about that now because I like looking through some of those old books and
Mhm.
um. But yeah, I never knew anything about that. Someplace Strange. It's
Well, Marvel did a whole string of graphic novels, starting with Death of Captain Marvel, and did one a month or one every other month from a wide variety of talent. Back when a lot of these guys had talent, and they wanted to do an entire book. There's an awesome Claremont Bolton. I want to say call it Black Dragon. That's out. That was amazing. They did Star. I want to say Star Runners, Star Scammers, Star something that Mike Kaluta did. Star Streamers, maybe. That was really good. That Rich Vetch did one. There was Super Boxers, which was a goofy idea, but a nice execution and premise that Ron Wilson did.
mhm,
They had all sorts of. There's the New Mutants were first introduced as a graphic novel
mhm,
during that run. The first set of New Mutants.
mhm. Um.
But yeah, if you had bought that book and looked inside of it, that was probably Rick Marshall that edited that because that's about the right period.
Okay. Um. Do you think, Randy, that because we've seen a lot of we talked about this a lot. Um. Let me see. I'll bring it up here. Um. Okay. Yeah. When it comes to are comics something that you can't criticize right now? Because if you do criticize it, like I just seen a girl write a piece. In fact, Trico showed it to me. Write a piece on the Joker movie, a
Uh-huh.
big long like rant against it, talking about how crap the movie is. Yet she hasn't seen it yet. And I just thought about if that would have been leveled the other way.
Did she admit in the article that she hadn't seen the movie?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of an idiot piece. Who the hell approved that?
um, would you?
Was it? It was online or was it in a magazine?
It's online.
Yeah,
It's
garbage tier.
Yeah, the Mary Sue. So yeah. I mean,
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you'd think that they'd have a little bit higher standards than that.
Do
Because
you
there's some places that you have to try to give an air of respectability. It's Mary Sue.
think?
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
But that would have been leveled the other way. That would have been shot back, toward a book that was written by one of their favorites. And you admit it. I don't like this book. I didn't even read it. I'm not going to read it. It's going to be crap. They would drag you across the coals.
Oh well, they bitch and moan, but and sadly, that kind of review happens all the time now. Whenever you hear, somebody's been gender bent or somebody's color's been changed or whatever, they're not going to watch that because they know it's going to automatically be shit.
Mhm.
That's why everybody needs to just stop and start creating their own icons. Marvel needs to have a whole flood of new icons, maybe even a couple of different imprints in order to educate the retailer that these books are made for this audience or those if they're going to be audience specific instead of being for general public like they used to be.
And I do want to switch gears.
But I'm reminded of your Captain Marvel. Even the next Star Wars right now has got this movie's going to be crap. There's no way I'm going to watch this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just people assuming, when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself
Right.
when you assume this kind of stuff. I did that Captain Marvel video without seeing the movie.
Mhm.
That was kind of, and some of it was on, some of it was asinine. So,
I want to bring up
Looking
something too. I wish that Lewis was here for this one. Last night, I don't know if you follow wrestling too much, Randy,
I don't.
but last night AEW premiered on TV. They are the newest competition for WWE because
No, that explains a couple of your odd Facebook posts then.
yeah. WWE is got some competition after almost a decade or almost 20 years of not having any competition. Now they have competition again. And this is an AEW, which is taking over the TNT time slot. One of they crowned their women's champion last night, and they had two competitors, Riho, who is a young uh, Asian wrestler, young lady, and she was trained by I think Kenny Omega, but this is a match for the women's world title, the AEW women's world title.
How long has the AEW been around?
The AEW started very recently. Because let me see when the AEW
not long enough to have another world championship, I'll bet.
No. They well, any promotion has their champions. Every promotion has their different champions. But so they're crowning, and during a pay-per-view they had the qualifying matches, and a wrestler, Nyla Rose, she won the opportunity to be a contender for the title to face Riho for the title. So neither one of them are champions. Whoever wins this match is going to be the champion. I'm showing right now a picture of Nyla Rose.
Yeah.
And I was on the web and I was talking to people and watching the match, and there were a lot of people who did not want Nyla Rose to win. Nyla Rose is a openly transgender wrestler.
Okay.
And they felt that if AEW put the championship, the women's championship on Nyla, it would be pandering, it would be woke. And after about a 15-minute match, I think, Nyla did not win. Nyla lost. Riho was crowned AEW Women's Champion. Now, I waited, and this morning I woke up and I went into some of my little Facebook groups, and guess what? There's a large percentage of people who are mad. They're upset that Nyla did not win. They said that it is the AEW chickened out, and they're not being progressive, and they're not being they're not being progressive. They're not getting with the times.
Well, I have an odd question. How come there's not a transgender class?
A transgender belt. I don't know.
Because you would think that would stop all of the arguments.
Well, would it though? I mean, because the transgenders, wouldn't they say like, "Well, I'm now a male. Refer to me as a male, or I'm now a woman."
I don't want to be too literal here, but there's definitely ways of figuring that out.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, you look at
don't misunderstand me either. If she wants to claim she's a girl, she's a girl.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
But
I'm just asking because everybody's whining.
There was no way for them to win this.
Give them their own class.
There was no way for them to win this. There was no way.
No, there
wasn't. They put the belt on Riho. Yeah, they make this group of fans happy, but they piss off this group.
Yep.
If they put the belt on Nyla, they're going to piss off this other group.
Yep.
So, I mean, really, I kind of think they booked themselves in a bad position.
And honestly, it was wrestling. It's not like it was a it's not like it was an actual contest.
But does that even make it worse? Because it wasn't I mean, it's not. The matches are predetermined.
Again, so, I think you're 100% right. There was no way they were going to get out of this without having some sort of bad press, and they probably went with the side that was going to give them the least in their mind.
It was a decent match. I didn't dislike the match, but it was weird seeing Nyla build, and I know it's in character. She builds herself as being like 176 pounds. No, she's like 220, 230 easy. But
you never know because the camera adds weight.
Oh no, they even made it a point to mention that during the commentary.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, like she's lying her ass. How about her weight?
Did they try to drum her up as a villain?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She even attacked Riho after
Well,
Riho won.
even that should cause a little bit of, upset.
Yeah. Um, it's it's a very interesting situation, and
But it's a situation they put themselves in, and
yeah.
a great way to cause publicity anymore is to cause controversy.
I think they knew exactly what they were doing. I think
Yeah.
they're probably even happy with the results. And maybe Nyla is a
Oh,
person who's laughing away to the bank.
they were probably ecstatic with their ratings.
Yeah, and Nyla's probably in on it.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah,
Well,
let's
no,
run.
that she would have to have been on it because, you know, all that stuff's predetermined.
Well, yeah. I'm talking about
It's like
in. I'm talking
it's
about
like
in
a
on the.
Lions game. It's the same thing.
I'm talking about in on the controversy. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they didn't give you the belt. They should put the strap on
No,
you.
she know if she wasn't aware, she wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
You know, because that would be she was going to have to take the hit, and I'm sure they told her in advance,
yeah.
and she was comfortable with it.
Oh yeah,
And they're
yeah, she knew more.
it's probably all for the good of the wrestling company. It's all for the good of their sport and their ratings, and just let it run.
Yeah. I think that's very interesting, and I would have loved if we got Lewis' take on it. Maybe if he watches this later, he can post the comment on it. I know he did watch AEW last night.
You might need to start a wrestling podcast.
We've considered it. There is some wrestling there's some wrestling on Indie Vault TV. There are a couple matches on yeah.
That's why I said that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think that it's important to one of the reasons I brought that up while we still got a little time is that before.
And if you're interested in seeing a wrestling podcast, contact Varian.
Yeah. If in fact, though, Randy, this continues, people are upset about.
It's not going to stop. Why are you wondering if it's not going to continue?
Well, no. What I'm wondering is that I've seen a massive amount of white knighting.
That's all part of the, it's all part of the cycle, I guess.
Well, I guess I want to ask you, Randy, what's your belief? What's the motivation behind internet white knights?
That's a silly question to ask. I think Rodney Dangerfield said it best. Hey, we're all going to get laid. Hello, let me talk about how great you are. Let me get into your pants.
Isn't that worse? Like,
that's just my opinion, by the way. I'm sure there are some people out there who actually think they're doing a service about white knighting, but
if I'm a guy, anybody doesn't know what internet white knighting is.
I like to think people should be getting jobs and employment and work and by their merit.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know what internet white knighting is when someone, usually a male, I'd say, jumps to the defense.
Well, I would say the majority would be male.
Yeah, the majority of male. They jump to the defense of a female online to the point where even if the female is wrong, they will fight and argue that she's without fault.
I don't have to understand shit.
Exactly. And that is an internet white knight, and I've seen a lot of it lately.
And there's none of us that haven't seen that relationship that has changed people, because relationships are chemistry. So
yeah, I mean, I don't even white knight for my wife.
That's because she doesn't need to be white knighted. That's why.
I tell her when she's wrong constantly.
Well, the sad thing is white knighting usually leads to Me Too's and sexual harassment cases and restraining orders and who knows, rape charges and who knows what the heck else. It's not a good road to go down.
I would be terrified. I mean, and honestly,
anymore, I would be scared shitless if I was single.
Yeah. I got a friend of mine who I told him, I said, man, I don't know what you're going to do. You're not married yet.
You got to put those blinders on and go out and do what you got to do. That's what That's what you have to do.
Yeah,
That's all.
you find a decent person out there who's not.
You pray you find a decent person out there
Yeah,
who's
you.
somewhat stable. It takes a bit. You have to look, and you have to be able to say no
Yeah.
I mean, as a male, and you have to be able to take no as a male.
Hmm.
From a female, you have to. That's
Yeah.
not. There is no question on that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you have to learn. That's all part of what dating is. You have to learn me. I had a failed marriage. It taught me what I didn't want. And when I found one, when I got into a relationship that I wanted, then it was full bore.
I had a gentleman tell me at South Dakota he was actually sharing a room with a female comic creator, and
You can't do that. You can't
he
do
was
that.
yeah he told me, he said he's kind of scared because he said that
Well, as a male,
Mhm,
you have to know not to get into those situations. Period.
mhm,
I mean, one of the few respectful things, and sorry to get political here, that I appreciate Mike Pence about is he won't get into a room with a female without having a chaperone.
mhm.
He won't do it because there's too many people out there that want to scream, even if nothing's happened, sexual harassment. You want to keep those opportunities down to nothing.
Mhm.
Especially, like I said, if I was single right now, I'd be scared shitless.
He, you know, there's a I see on some of the websites that I belong, or some of the Facebook groups I belong in, um, some of the ones I'm in, and talk to people regularly. The creator ones, uh, they're creators and they're traveling and they're always there's people. Hey, does anyone want to split a room? I have a room. I'm looking for a roommate for the show for the weekends. Anybody going down there? And
Yeah.
when I see it, and I see these, you know, clear, I mean, very attractive young ladies asking, hey, does anybody in this group, who this group can be 1,000 members strong,
Hmm.
are you going down to Michigan Comic Con? I had a room and I can't afford it. It'll be a little bit easier if I can get a roommate. And
And and they should know better than to cross sexes. You know.
yeah, I mean, because they're not saying, hey, can I get a female roommate? They're saying anybody.
But even anymore, you're still getting same sex sexual harassment complaints.
Yeah.
So you just have to be careful all around.
Yeah. Do you think that's wise, asking for a roommate online for a con?
No, I think it's risky as shit.
um, I know people do that.
Unless, of course, you ask and it's somebody pops up that you've known for years. That's a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
different story. But putting out an open call like that, it's an invitation to trouble.
I will say this: be very
Both
careful.
both male and female, I would say.
Be very careful. I've been asked before at a con by my table neighbor before, sitting there. Shows. It's the show ends at 7 that day on a Friday.
Mhm.
First day of the show, and your neighbor's really friendly with you. And you talk to them, and they're like, "Hey, so where are you staying?" And you tell them, "Oh, I'm staying at the." And me and my wife try to stay very close to the show. If we can, we try to stay in walking distance. Honestly, if we can walk to the show or be attached to the show, the hotel, we try to do that.
Right.
And what happened was this particular guy was like, "Hey, well, uh, I don't have a room. Do you guys mind if I crash with you for the night?" And I'm like, and again, I've been really friendly with this guy all
Hmm.
show. I don't want to be a prick. I don't want to be that guy. And I'm like, well,
Well, there's
uh,
nothing wrong with saying that you like your privacy too.
I thought that what came across I thought that what came across as dickish. So
That's all right sometimes.
I'm not ashamed. I'm ashamed to say
He was
that
kind of dickish to try to invite himself in.
I'm ashamed to say that I lied. And
So
I
I
told
say
him,
the term freeloading comes to mind.
I said, oh man, I got people staying with us already. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Otherwise I definitely let you in. Because he was like, I could sleep in the chair. I could sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
But eventually he went and got a hotel room about, I think he said 5 miles away at Motel 6.
Yeah.
But it is
Well,
very
that's his
dangerous.
fault for not making plans. in advance.
Yeah. But I've seen people
I've
do that.
slept on many a hotel room floor before,
Mm-hmm.
but that's usually all arrangements. Hey, there's 5 of us that are going to go. We'll split the cost of the room and just crash because that's all you pretty much use that room for anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? And I tell people, I don't. I mean, I don't like spending lots of money on rooms because you're in it for
No,
what? Just sleep, get up, and go back to the show.
exactly.
You're not enjoying the room. You're not,
Yeah,
you know.
I did quite a few Chicago cons like that.
Yeah, you're. I mean, it's. I remember.
That's how I know Scott Rosenma snores like a bear.
Snoring Scott. uh, when you go to a show, make sure your hotel cost is covered. And another thing too is, you know, go where you can afford to go, but also keep in mind the amount of quality that you're getting.
And keep in mind when you mix genders, you invite trouble.
Yeah, when you mix genders, you're asking for something to possibly happen. You know, again, I've been in rooms with my wife and 2 of our booth girls. We had 2 what's that queen beds, and you know, I make sure that I'm in full PJs. you know, I change in the bathroom no matter how cramped it is. And I'll tell you this, I thought that would benefit me. So the women, the shot the girls, and we call our booth model shot girls. I was minding my business. I'm in my room, and Lola is like doing something over there. I think she's fixing her hair, and one of our girls comes out of the bathroom in her underwear, like her bra and panties.
Uh-huh.
This comes out with her dress. So which dress am I wearing today? She doesn't care.
No.
But I thought I thank my lucky stars that my wife was there. Because if she wasn't, God knows what would have happened. And I thought maybe it was a one-time fluke.
What,
Like
you would have lost all control. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Because like, holy crap, she's in a bra and panties.
I think that it's just like, who knows if she could have said it later. You know,
that would have been the time I'd have looked at her straight face and said, "You don't need a dress today. You're just fine."
Yeah.
And seen what they said.
Well,
Maybe then they'll start thinking, "Oh, I'm out here in a bra and panties. Maybe I shouldn't be."
Well, the weird thing is, I thought it was a one-time fluke.
You should wear that outfit wherever you go.
When we got back to the hotel room, there was an after party that night, and she did the same thing. She disrobed right in front of me. Just. And I'm like, whoa.
It's nothing you haven't already seen on TV.
No, it wasn't. But it's like, wait a minute. Wait. I mean,
I would have been like, you need a bathroom. Please get a bathroom.
Yeah, it's like I would have. It would have been great if would have had Lola wouldn't have been in the room and she'd have came in and there's this woman standing there in front of me in panties. I would have never heard the end of it. Yeah.
Whoa. That would have been that time. Get yourself a robe on, for God's sake. At least wrap yourself in a towel or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's very weird. But I will say this: all of the girls that we hire for booth girls to be booth girls, most of them are kind of like that. They don't mind. Yeah, booth girls. They don't mind. They're like, hey, I'll take off everything. What do you want me to wear? You want me to? Yeah. We did post. We did posters.
Gotta be careful.
We did posters, and of the girls, and we got a new girl, and very pretty, a Chinese girl, gorgeous, and she said, to me, well, the photographer, does he shoot nudes? I said, oh no, don't worry about that, no. And she's like, well, I really want to shoot nudes. I'm like, I'm selling these posters at the con. you can't you can't. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to sell nudes. It's not going to happen. And
Give me a second. Let me get a camera.
yeah, what happened was she shot her set clothed, and then she shot a nude set.
Yeah.
And because that was the only way I could. She put me in a hard spot. Hard spot. She
Put you in a hard spot.
Yeah, she decided that the only way she was going to shoot the clothed photos was if I also agreed to shoot nude.
There would have probably been a model release form that you'd have needed to have.
Oh yeah, she signed all kind of documents.
Yeah.
We had her sign, which I still have.
Just make sure your ass is covered.
Yeah, I still have those in a folder right over there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so if I ever, I think I'll make some copies of them too again and start sending them out to people just in case I expire. Yeah, make sure you keep a copy of that, but not the pictures, the contract. But yeah, she was a very pretty girl. But yeah, so I think Raina does this for us today here live on Indie Vote. So if you learned anything from us today, it's stay off Kickstarter, be careful with PayPal, and don't share rooms with women. That's the three things we're gonna we talked about today. And happy birthday, Rob Liefeld.
Happy birthday, Rob Liefeld.
Yeah. Lots of candles on that cake. Lots of candles.
Lots of candles. I'm about to put a new video up on the Zim Geek channel. Should be up, if not today, then tomorrow.
What is the theme of this video?
It's about the preservers.
The preservers.
Not the fruit in not the fruit in a jar, but the superhero team that I did for Formar Nature Preserve.
If it tastes like Zimmerman's, it has to be good.
There you go. That's never mind.
All right, so we will be back.
Self-censorship is the best censorship, I guess. Anyway,
we will be back here Tuesday at 9 p.m.
And thanks to everybody for listening on Indie Volt Radio.
Yep, we want to thank those, and also if something breaks, me and Randy have talked about jumping back on air.
We've got some glue.
Emergency streams. Like
I got some rubber cement right up there.
Yeah. If some news breaks, we can come back in and say, "Holy crap! Did you hear?"
Fix it.
Yeah. Don't believe him. They're lying. They're lying to you.
Well, and we can talk more about that Mike Kickstarter situation.
Yeah. We're gonna dig back into that, and
Just
finally,
aggressive way to get some attention.
In
my opinion.
All right, that's pretty much does it for us. So we will be talking to everybody very soon. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to mail us at indievote@indievote.com. Check out IndieVote TV on the Roku, as well as IndieVote Radio on Google, in the Google Store. It's an app, and on iOS you can listen to it through the Streamer app.
It's at indievoltradio.com.
No, not .com for IndieVote Radio. It's just IndieVote Radio. Yep, radio in Google Play.
Okay.
Or if you have, again, an iPhone, download the Streamer app and look up IndieVote Radio, and you will find it. Lots of indie music, lots of podcasts.
Viking Yoda wants to know when he gets his own channel.
Yeah. Viking Yoda needs to start his podcast. He needs to. He's
I think he wants a spot on Indie Volt.
No. Yeah, bully.
Anyway, bully.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We will see you all very soon. Until then, stay safe.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, have a good weekend. Read some good comics, please.
Make it a safe one.
Yep.